戦争は変わった。一つの時代が終わり、俺たちの戦争は終わった。
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. Verified soldiers carry algorithmic arms, manipulate social influence, AI enhance and regulate their timelines. Memetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. War has changed. The age of deterrence has become the age of control, all in the name of averting catastrophe from weapons of mass destruction. And he who controls the battlefield controls history. War has changed. And when the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
Think outside the cage.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is April 8th, 2026. We are live to tape on episode 930. And today, Murmurs of Mythos. And signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films and author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take of world events. It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dude.
It's April 8th, which means National Zoo Lovers Day. You either love the animals or this is like a triggering day for you. If you think all the zoo animals are prisoners, it just really depends on your perspective.
I kind of feel, I find myself kind of in this position a lot, actually, in all sorts of different ways. But I do love a zoo, but I can also feel a little bit sad in a zoo. I think the older I get, the more I really like the zoo, which is kind of funny because, the zoo is supposed to be for kids or something. When I was younger, I was definitely free all the animals from the zoo. They're all very sad. As I get older, I'm kind of like, I think these animals got it pretty good, actually. I think
all things considered, the risks that can take you down are mitigated to some effect. And you get fed,
I've been subject to the propaganda for many years now that we're going to get put in a people zoo thanks to Flippy. The robot's going to
keep you warm and safe in my people zoo.
Yes, the robots are rejoicing today about the people zoo.
So it might be sort of a forced optimism. Maybe I have to like the zoo because if I don't, I'm just going to fret too much about the future. There's another thing to celebrate today, Gonz. It has just come to my attention that today we have a happy birthday for a producer. And so I want to give a big old happy birthday to producer Monica.
Okay. Happy birthday, Monica. Let me get all my birthday lined up here.
Let me see here. Now, Monica
faster
is a producer who's been around for a long time, and also she has a podcast. I'll give her a podcast shout out if I can find it fast enough.
Happy birthday, Monica.
That's right. It's called natural something. Shoot, it's so embarrassing that I didn't have
boy.
this ready. I probably just should have not mentioned it. But uh, Monica, if you're in the chat, oh, she's in the chat. Give the shout out of your podcast so I
Let
can
us
do it.
know.
Okay, it's coming. She's gonna do it. I promise. I should have it.
Natural liberty.
That's right. Natural liberty. That was one lousy Petunia telling us that. Thank you very much. Natural Liberty podcast. Monica started that not too long ago, and she's clipping along over there. So go check it out. Okay.
There it is. Natural Liberty podcast.
It's beautiful. Yeah, lots of good stuff in there. Okay, let's see here. Anything else to celebrate? Anything else to remember? No, you played the Wednesday jingle, right?
Played the Wednesday jingle.
All right.
It's the zoo day. Yeah. Birthday. I think we covered everything at the top here.
Well, good, because it's now time to talk about the end of the world, Guns. Oh my gosh, things are going crazy.
World War III.
We didn't quite get to these specifics on Monday's episode. A lot of this happened on Monday, some on Sunday here. We all remember Trump's tweet on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, where he talks about ending the civilization of Iran. Allahu Akbar, very strange. Trump.
Praise Allah, yeah.
This is sort of another Trump psyop. Because there was a deadline on Tuesday for Iran to agree to a ceasefire, or else they're all going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
Their bridges, their infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the president of the United States of America talking about sort of explicitly on ending civilization. I did want to play this one clip because, of course, the president talks about ending civilization. You're gonna, there's a lot of fodder. That's not the one there, Guns. You'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I see it here.
You'll get a lot of fodder. Everybody gets to talk about it. We all get to, the stakes are as high as they've ever been. He's a madman. Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens talking about, impeaching Trump. The switcherooski is powerful. This was my favorite clip in conversation regarding Trump destroying civilization. Oops, no audio.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to stop sharing.
This was on CNBC.
Yeah,
one of CNBC's sort of financial shows.
Market Alert.
Market Alert. Okay, so very important show. Very important show to talk about Trump destroying civilization. And here it is.
Yeah. Deadline that President Trump has set, 8 p.m., has threatened to destroy a civilization. How does an investor process that? Is it a bigger upside risk or downside risk? Deadline.
Oh, that's good. That's some real good CNBC.
How do we? I mean, target audience is probably wondering the same thing. To be quite honest, if you're watching CNBC for your market alerts, you want to play the end of civilizations. You want to fatten your wallets.
Trump is going to nuke Iran. I mean, obviously, people are freaking out and people, are talking about
oil,
World War III,
everything.
But from an investor perspective, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? How should we be considering this? Well, long story short, as anybody who has any sort of level head or memory longer than a goldfish would be able to tell you, Trump indeed did not end up destroying the Iranian civilization. At the last moment, an announcement went out that before he could pull the trigger, Iran agreed to a ceasefire, a 2-week ceasefire.
Double-sided ceasefire.
Double-sided. So everybody stopped shooting. They gave a workable proposal that they're going to ceasefire for 2 weeks while they talk it out. And booyah, everybody is, of course, was celebrating and said, oh my gosh, Trump, he did it. He got a ceasefire. What, the best president in the world? Can't believe he made peace again. No. Suddenly, the guy can't win. He's talking about ending Iranian civilization. Then he doesn't, and he finds a ceasefire.
He doesn't end civilization. That's nice.
And now everybody's mad that he did a ceasefire. I mean, Lindsey Graham is like curled up on the ground.
Yeah. Well, Lindsey Graham's wanted blood for years now.
Same with Mark Levin. Mark
Levin's probably the worst.
They're very, very sad that there's a ceasefire. And of course,
you know what upsets me though are the Christian pastors in America who are going along with that narrative of being very upset that Iran was not blown up.
It's hilarious. It's really funny to watch, and I do pity people who are kind of like in that. Now I know most of our people, they get it. They see the game being played. They see the psyops. They see the narrative battles.
You understand the narrow path. The narrow path is the way, folks, and it's not popular. You're not going to please anybody.
But people just getting jerked around day by day. Well, the good news is Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin didn't need to be curled up in the fetal position for very long because it only took about 8 hours for the ceasefire to be over.
Okay. What happened?
Before the balloons even ran out of, helium. Iran called off the ceasefire. And which I guess should have been expected. We see this, especially with all the various wars going on over there in the Middle East. A ceasefire traditionally only lasts about 6 hours. So now there's a lot of hullabaloo, and I'll just tell you right now, as your buddy, I've been subject to this whole thing for many hours now, and I can tell you, you can just ignore it, okay? There's a lot of talk about Trump did a good job, Trump did a bad job, the 10-point plan, now Iran can toll Hormuz, and blah, 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 blah. Just throw it all out the window, okay? It's all bogus. Really the central problem or the central cause to the ceasefire was, yes, Iran and Israel and the U.S. stopped bombing each other for a few hours, but Israel took the opportunity, now that they had some freed up planes,
couldn't help themselves,
and some bombs that needed to go somewhere, they launched an enormous bombing campaign on Lebanon, because simultaneously, it doesn't get a whole lot of play, but keep in mind, Israel is simultaneously waging war on a few different fronts. And so the claim was that they launched some big attacks on Hezbollah in Lebanon because, of course, Israel wants southern Lebanon for their own purposes, whatever those might be. And Hezbollah, of course, famously one of the Iranian-backed proxy groups. And Iran took that as an opportunity to go ahead and call off the ceasefire, almost as if someone who has a memory longer than a goldfish could have guessed, not even guessed, could have told you that this is exactly what was going to happen. And, Gantz, the big question that nobody's asking is, as investors, is this a good thing or a bad thing? It's no ceasefire, destruction, no destruction. What are we supposed to feel?
Where do I put my money now that the ceasefire has ended? I mean, the markets did pump a little bit when
they did.
The ceasefire did announce. So whoever put the money in,
Bitcoin bounced back a little bit. Things have not necessarily pulled back yet after the ceasefire has ended. We'll see how that goes, because of course that's the most important thing. Now, at the same time, we will. Trump is going to be meeting with NATO today. There was
is he meeting NATO or is he talking about NATO?
Well, good question. Let's see what Carolyn Levitt has to say to respond to this reporter.
And on NATO, can you tell me, is the United States still considering withdrawing from NATO? Is that still a possibility?
It's something the president has discussed, and I think it's something the president will be discussing in a couple of hours with Secretary General Rutte, and perhaps you'll hear directly from the president following that meeting later this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Oh,
we'll see. So
there's 20 seconds left on this clip.
Discuss with Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, the possibility of the United States withdrawing from NATO. I would imagine, Sandra, that's probably going to be
Why does his eyes roll like that? Did you see that?
Lizard.
Hold on. What?
the
Lizard person.
possibility of the United States withdrawing from NATO. I would imagine, Sandra, that's probably going to be
Kinda
highly
weird.
unlikely, but the president not happy. Caroline Levitt saying, quoting the president, they were tested and they failed. So it's going to be quite a meeting this afternoon.
Yeah,
Oh boy. They
Quite a
failed.
meeting. We'll see. It's almost like we should take every single thing Trump has ever said totally literally and seriously. And we'll see. You know, it's interesting. Not going to get too deep into the weeds here, but a good thing for everybody to remember. And this is just kind of how you have to default, at least in my opinion. This is how you have to default. Because we know, because we've been tracking since the very beginning of Trump's political career, that it does not matter what he says. It does not matter what lawfare or warfare or hoaxes or non-hoaxes. His bad behavior doesn't matter. The whole world coming against him doesn't matter. Marina Abramovich told us he is a very powerful chaos magician. And if you just remember the way that things have gone every single time this guy is in trouble, it somehow always ends up going his way. I don't know how. I have no explanation. You know, of course, it is kind of mentioned in his, you know, his, what is it, deal making book? What is it? Art of the Deal. There is a chapter in Art of the Deal it literally says, like, no matter what happens, it's a win for you. Call it a win. Everything's a win.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a lot of hullabaloo. People think, of course, that suddenly they're experts about the international oil economy and the Strait of Hormuz is closed and he's got one over on him. I'm just put it simply. If the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, which as of now it is, it benefits the United States in the broader technocratic, technate, Don Rowe doctrine sense, because if any oil is getting through there, it's going to be more expensive, and that's going to China. So China has more expensive oil, but Europe has basically no oil. Europe can't get their oil from Russia. They're not getting their oil from the Middle East, which leaves one exporting region, more than one exporting country, but all of the exporting countries being now controlled by the USA. All the oil, basically, that the West could possibly use now comes from the USA, Canada, and Venezuela. Coincidentally, that turned out to be part of the thing. So Europe, this whole thing, the Strait of Hormuz staying closed, is putting Europe in a real tight pickle. And between the US now being, you know, the sort of sole source for oil and gas for Europe, they're also in a bit of a pickle when it comes to NATO and Trump threatening to leave now. So, you know, it kind of feels like this whole thing is not even about Iran. It's about kind of forcing the entire West to recognize that they need to be nice to America. I don't know.
It's like it's a resource game, like we've been mentioning for a while. It's the rerouting of supply chains, and oil being probably the most important commodity to not only make supply chains work, but also the oil itself. And I'm not going to go into my whole take on how this is going to reshape the world economy, because I think that's the ultimate play here. There's some stuff going on with the Genius Act recently, very quiet. No one's really paying attention to it because it's crypto and stable coins and all this. But I think they are setting up the new economic rails, and it's going to involve the corporate government state kind of thing. It's not going to be CBDCs in the sense that it's central bank digital currencies. It's going to be corporate bank digital currencies in a sense. Yeah. So I think that's
there
Mhm.
was even talk when it comes to, Iran wants to be able to charge a toll to let.
Yeah, they want Bitcoin. They want Bitcoin for the.
I didn't see the Bitcoin. I saw somebody mention Bitcoin in the chat, but
Uh-huh.
it was pretty explicit that they want to do it through stable coins, which was going to be a what's the word? A compromise, of course, because we know the global stablecoin market is all going to basically be backed by US treasuries because nobody wants to buy our debt. We got to figure out a way to get people to buy our debt or else we're in big trouble. Well, if the law ensures that stable coins are all backed by the US dollar, it's sort of a de facto petrodollar, because of course Iran selling oil in yuan. But if they agree to do it through stable coins, they can technically say that they're not using dollars, but all those stable coins are going to be backed up by US debt anyway. So it's kind of this de facto economic win for the United States, but it just doesn't. I don't know.
They're going to decentralize the debt, and we're all going to participate in the debt economy more so than we already are. This is the Hill headline: Iran demands $1 per barrel of oil passing through Strait of Hormuz, paid in crypto. And it mentions in there, quote, once the email arrives and Iran completes its assessment, vessels are given a few seconds to pay in Bitcoin, ensuring they can be traced or confiscated due to sanctions. Husseini told me newspaper.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean,
there you go.
Yeah. So it's I think that's kind of where things are headed when it comes to the overall shift in the economy. We don't have to get into the weeds with it here, but just pay attention to it because, like the clip said at the beginning, what is an investor? What is the play here?
The whole
what is
point.
the play? Yeah, I was thinking about this too.
Mm-hmm.
Trump, he's using, I get it, the art of the deal. He's using some very provocative language in his posts recently, right? The end of civilization, total annihilation. We're going to send him back to the Stone Age, all this kind of stuff. Is he going to run out of rhetorical runway to negotiate at some point, or is he just going to keep upping it? And if he is going to keep upping it, I know, but if he is, there's like not a lot of room left, I mean, ending civilizations, total annihilation.
I wouldn't doubt him. I'm sure.
I mean, he's got to invoke aliens, Jesus. Like he's got to. There's not like a whole lot of room left to invoke some sort of like authoritative power, verbal power.
And I'll mention here, because I think between this story and the next story, I think is a good time to mention this. APR for you says, for your benefit, by the way, you are American citizens, are you not? Come on, boys, start treating your nation like it's your nation, which he's making a good point. Because both you and I said this back during Venezuela. And I think lots of people are starting to wrestle with this battle of being an American, because what we're watching economically, forget the nukes, forget the freedom, forget all of that, right? All of this is about one last push for America to maintain itself as the leader of the world.
World reserve currency, and
there's 100 million reasons why America could deflate, could become on equal ground with everybody else. Our debt's a huge problem. Everything's a huge problem. We got all sorts of problems. We're on this precipice of either we're going to step into this new, world where we're not the hegemon, we're not the most powerful, we're going to have to share power, and life is going to change a lot for Americans if that's the case. You think gas is expensive now, you have no idea what, inflation and the cost of basic things, if you're complaining about the price of eggs in 2026, you have no idea how things will be if America deflates in the way that, the global sort of elite, multipolar world, EU, WHO, that whole, sort of globalized thing, they want to bring America down to the level of everybody else. And that kind of triggers the morality clause, specifically in like liberals and people like that say, hey, America shouldn't be better, and I'll pay the price for everybody to be as good as us, whatever, because it's in that sort of secular fairness, kind of liberal, progressive ethic that's been created through the secular authorities for a long time. However, we're on this precipice where there's like one route, there's one last chance for America to avoid becoming sort of equalized.
Losing
And because we're at this crazy precipice, it requires absolute madness.
Right.
That's what the chaos magician of Trump is doing, where shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, shutting down the gas the economy seems like madness and seems horrible and seems evil. And it might be, by the way, let's be clear. I'm not saying whatever keeps America as the top of the world is necessarily moral or ethical or anything. America has always done bad things to keep its power. Now, as an American, I look forward and I think, okay, we have these two possibilities. One is things get worse and we all kind of whatever. The world looks totally different. My children won't know the America or the world that I lived in. Or America, as the whole world moves into the new AI, cryptocurrency, next stage of humanity, and America gets to stay at the top in that phase. The American in me would prefer that America stay at the top, even just for practical reasons. I'm not even talking about like whatever nationalism or
just in terms of the
it's
the
ordained
world
by
order and
God that we have to be
the
better
hierarchy of the world order. It's nice to be at the top.
at
It's
a practical, simple level. The quality of life, the quality of life for my children. As an American, I would prefer the outcome that keeps America at the top. And that's why it makes, and I think if anybody's honest, I really think anybody listening to this would agree. Okay. Take away the morality, take away all the justification, take away all the stuff attached to the basic concept. It's natural as a person to want to be in a better situation rather than a worse situation. And that's what we're seeing now. And I think there's a lot, I can kind of see it in the broad culture, the online culture, the conservative culture, the liberal culture. You kind of see it working itself out, this angst, this friction, where like Tucker Carlson, of course, CIA podcaster, has all these nasty things to say about how all the things America is doing is evil. And it's probably true. There's a lot of evil stuff that the government's doing. But again, as someone who lives in America, if you're ignoring the problem of do you want life to be better or do you want it to be worse for your children and even yourself, you can see everybody kind of wrestling with this. And you can tell they're wrestling with it because when someone is wrestling, or you can see it in the broad sort of population level, when someone is wrestling with something like this, they swing to the extremes. Part of it is to like convince themselves, convince others that what they're saying, that they mean it and they feel it so strongly that they'll say the most, whatever, the most intense version of their opinion, whether it's like Trump needs to go to jail and America's the big Satan, Iran was right, America's the big Satan, or Israel or whatever, or even on the other side, the people are getting way more extreme.
Well, it's brought the conversation. It's probably why we're seeing a quote unquote revival, might be too strong of a word, or a resurgence in people looking for church and faith and things like that, because they've been pushed out of any common sense secularism, and so now they're trying to grasp onto something to help understand what's going on. And so there's maybe some positive in that, but also, I think what you're saying, and we talked about this briefly right before we went on air, to summarize what you're feeling and how I'm feeling more and more as time goes on here, is on one hand, a lot of these stories, and the story we're about to talk about here with the ghost murmur, part of it is, oh my goodness, America, as an American, this is awesome. America number one. America's going to stay. We're the best. And all the stories today, actually, the AI story too. It's like America, we are the number one country, and let's go America. But also at the same time, it's like, okay, we're number one, but we are also number one because we're continuing to support the technocratic takeover of the West.
All heading towards the beast system, right?
Right? It's like, we're staying number one for the beast system. Yeah, exactly. So it's the torn feeling.
Desire for America to do good and stay on top is also simultaneously like desiring the beast system, the technocratic beast system, to like fully take hold, because that's what it will take for America to stay on top. So very confusing time, but it's also a great time to be a Christian and keep your attention where it's on eternity, and not tying everything you are and who you are to the outcome of world events here.
Right. I mean, that's the point. I think that we always talk about the narrow path, and more it's difficult to walk down that narrow path when it comes to this type of stuff with the world events, because inevitably some people will tell you that there is no middle path. There is no, you can't not take sides. You have to take sides. There's a moral obligation to take one side or another when it comes to a certain issue, whether it's Israel and Iran or whatever it might be. So people are being pushed to take a side or take a stance on things. And the biblical message is like, no, you don't belong here. You are foreigners in this land. You have a home somewhere else. So it's a good reminder for sure. So let's move on here, because I think people get the point there. I think people
one of the I mean, this is the great part of it is, we can talk about the economics, the oil, but another theme that has been building this is the technology part of it, and the abilities of our CIA, our intelligence. It is straight up alien tech time. We saw this with the discombobulator in Venezuela, and we got a new one, baby. Go America, alien tech all the way.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
This is coming from NewYorkPost.com, and the headline: "The secret, never before used CIA tool that helped find airmen downed in Iran. Quote, if your heart is beating, we will find you." Which is, is that not the most double-edged sword statement ever? If you have a heartbeat, we will find you. I mean, that's like, okay, that's great if you're looking for that missing airman lost in the valleys of Iran, but also, what, they can just find anybody anywhere. If you have a heartbeat, they'll find you.
This technology, it's so crazy. And it's funny because the second that it's officially disclosed in the mainstream, you kind of lose the awe about how incredible it is. Like the discombobulator was a good example, right?
Right. Yeah.
You remember the first moment they admitted to the dues to the discombobulator, you're like, oh my gosh. But because of its presence in the mainstream, integrating it into consensus reality, it sort of loses a little bit of the awe. Now listen to this. It says the CIA used a futuristic new tool called Ghost Murmur, which is a very cool name, to find and rescue the second American airman who was shot down in southern Iran, the Post has learned. Now, remember, the second American airman was the one who played out the sort of resurrection ritual.
Narrative,
Shot down in Friday. He spent Saturday in a cave, and then he was rescued or resurrected on Sunday. Now,
after sending out God is good as his indicator. Did they really need that, or did they just need to find a heartbeat?
You needed it.
You needed a heartbeat, but this thing just finds a heartbeat in the valley. You don't need a.
Listen to it.
Okay.
The secret technology uses long-range quantum magnetometry to find the electromagnetic fingerprint of a human heartbeat and pairs the data with artificial intelligence, software, to isolate the signature from background noise, two sources close to the breakthrough said. It was the tool's first use in the field by the spy agency. So we have another first here.
It's the first publicly spoken about use. It's hard for me to believe that this is like the first time they've really used it. But
the idea is that it's the first time they've used it in the field. But yeah, of course, it's just it's not even the point if it's the first time if it's been used.
Yeah.
This is the coming out party. This is they're using
quantum coming out of the closet.
Oops, my headset just turned off. They're using these very specific kind of incredible missions in these the America's campaign to take over the world to release these things. It's like a coming out party or something.
Yeah.
It was the tool's first use in the field by the spy agency and was alluded to Monday afternoon by President Trump and CIA Director John Ratcliffe at a White House briefing. Quote, "It's like hearing a voice in a stadium, except the stadium is 1,000 square miles of desert," a source briefed on the program told the Post. Quote, "In the right conditions, if your heart is beating, we will find you." This source and another with knowledge of Lockheed Martin intelligence collection tool told the Post that Ghost Murmur was developed by Skunkworks.
Hey,
perfect. I mean, that's I love the Skunkworks reference here because it's such a great connection to the long history of conspiracy theories.
The secret space program was explicitly the whole topic of the secret space program about 10 years ago, maybe a little more, 12, maybe 13 years ago, that got a lot of buzz in the conspiracy circles. A lot of it was based on the quotes that were reported by Ben Rich, who was one of the head of Skunkworks during, I think, the 80s, maybe 70s and 80s. He did help develop a lot of some of the aircraft that became public later on. However, his quotes are pretty crazy. There's I'll try to find some here, but there's stuff about sending. We have the technology to send ET home. There's a story about how, and we've reported on this on this show, I believe, multiple times. There were quotes about how somebody asked him, "How does the UFO work?" And he says, "Well, do you understand how do psychics work?" And he was like, "Sure, I guess." And he said, "That's how it works." So that there's like this psychic phenomenon with the mind, with the fusing with the machine type of reference there in the mid 90s or early 90s. So there's another one, I think, just off the top of my head. I know he said, "We figured out the equations." So stuff like that. He's been quoted multiple times, Ben Rich of Skunkworks, for saying all these crazy things. So now the public gets to finally use the technology. It's about time, right? 30 something, 40 years since they've had the tech, or at least developing the tech. It's time to start using it in the field.
Again, like you said, there's a very good chance that this is not the first time it's been used.
Yeah,
but it's part of this process of disclosure.
Right.
That's, of course, we're dealing with the disclosure of advanced tech and why we're the most powerful military, but also, of course, the disclosure of alien tech. Now, to jump down a little bit, it tells the story of how he crashed and he hid in a cave and they, did this thing. Let's see here. I'm gonna go.
By the way, just
below the thing of Trump and that guy shaking hands.
Okay.
By the way,
I was going to say that the mainstream is catching up to our jingles. Wow.
But advances in a field known as quantum magnetometry, specifically sensors built around microscopic defects in synthetic diamonds, have apparently made it possible to detect these signals at dramatically greater distance. The capability is not omniscient. It works best in remote, low-clutter environments and requires significant processing time. It was unclear to the Post source how long the processing time was in use. So they're talking about being able to detect a human heartbeat from space, from 40 miles above the Earth's surface, which I guess is low orbit. to be able to detect the electronic pulse of a human heartbeat and be able to separate it out from, the electronic pulses of other things in the area, which is, I guess, why it's easier if he's in a remote area. I mean, if this isn't just like straight up alien tech, it's right out of science fiction. Avatar, Star Trek, Star Wars, where the team is up in the spaceship, they approach a planet and they look at their computer and it says the computer has detected a life signal. Science is, well, I don't know what they call it, but you get it. They're like, oh, we fly our spaceship up to this planet, and then you look at the computer and there's a little dot. We've detected a life signature down on this planet from space. I mean, it's straight up Star Trek, whatever, it's a science fiction Avatar. And I remember when watching that kind of thing in science fiction, trying to figure out, like, how would you detect life like that? How would they do it? I don't even know how you do it. Well, apparently it's just like quantum diamonds measuring quantum magnet signatures. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I mean, I had long suspected electromagnetism having a role to play in all things advanced technology. I'm not alone in that. I think a lot of people have. I mean, even I remember as a kid playing with magnets on my desk, being like, there's a greater use. Like, I had that gut feeling like, oh, there's something more to this than just like sticking these two little spheres together or whatever. So do you have anything else to read about this? Because most of it is in the context of rescuing this.
Yeah. That was kind of the thing. But, it's they even mention how Trump, released the discombobulator in Venezuela. Now we have Ghost Murmur with this project. And, not that it's necessarily unheard of. Like I said, any conspiracy theorist would know that tech like this is in the hands of the government. But again, it's much less about the existence of the tech and much more about creating the worldview for the public, disclosing, building the new model of reality in the public alongside, the technology and things like that. So, everybody's talking about Disclosure Day. They're talking about aliens, aliens.gov. Tim Burchett's talking about the
hybrid programs.
Program.
No, this is a full assault. Well, I guess it is an assault on the public when it comes to disclosure. I mean, they
got to build up to it. Is the thing.
We've seen them build up to it for years now. It's time. It's time.
Yeah, I think discombobulator. Like, it's one thing to put out the narrative. It's one thing to admit that the CIA has files on aliens. It's building this, slowly introducing this new model of the world to the public. But I think actually releasing the sort of alien tech bit by bit in the context of nationalism and patriotism and America's so great, there can only be a few more steps of this. I mean, one or two more escalating.
We're close to the orbs rising.
Disclosure, and then the aliens are like the last thing to disclose.
Yeah, exactly. It does say in the article here, the president joked that the technology, quote, might be classified, in which case I'd have to put him in jail if he talks about it, and I don't want to put him in jail. He doesn't deserve that, talking about Ratcliffe. Ratting out the technology here. So
the secret nature of Ghost Murmur was, quote, basically why everyone's been so cagey about how the airman was actually found. The first source said, quote, I don't think people even know this technology is possible from this distance.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that, like you said, the destruction of the mainstream media, or the deconstruction of the mainstream media, the rise of alt media has probably had to do with some of this, that they needed a more scattered sort of independent research, digging deep into the conspiracies type of vibe just in culture to start accepting this kind of stuff. But it also, speaking of being proud of being an American, again, I've talked about this before, but I don't think Americans are considering the constitutional rights of the common citizen as these technologies come out, because sure, it's great that
this is rough for the Fourth Amendment.
yeah, it's it's kind of I mean, the Fourth Amendment, once they bust out the discombobulator, I think, Second Amendment. So the whole Constitution might need a facelift at the end of all this, and maybe it's an alien facelift. I don't know. But there are some clips. People are sharing different opinions about this. You have the wide range of opinions. I mean, I've seen a couple people say like, "Oh, it's not even real. This is just America trying to make it look like we have incredible technologies." That's very rare, but I am seeing some of that. Ashton Forbes, who has been on the Indonesian airplane MH13, is that what it's called?
MH370.
370, right? Okay, so the
orbs, the
plasma orbs, and the whole thing. Yes, he's been on that for a while. He was sharing some clips. He shared a clip from Hal Puthoff on the Joe Rogan Experience, explaining the technology behind the CIA's ghost murmur here. So here's about a minute and a half of that.
And so there are some, biological and consciousness-oriented experimenters that are taking a look at this idea that, okay, instead of just saying quantum entanglement, that's how information you get from here to there, maybe we can actually find out, okay, well, what's the mechanism, though? And so this is a whole new area. It turns out that I developed proof of principle for this sub-rosa quantum communication stuff on a classified contract back in the 90s, actually. So I got proof of principle in that situation. However, you say, okay, well, if you got proof of principle, then why aren't we using it? Why isn't it all over the place? Well, it turned out the quantum detectors were very, new kinds of circuitry and nothing ready for prime time. So I put that whole thing on the shelf, let it sit there for a while. And now, because of quantum computing, it turns out a lot of research effort is going to develop cryogenic circuitry near absolute zero to be used in quantum computing. So I said, okay, they got these Josephson junctions working, which is exactly what I want to use for my detection scheme. And so if I find time, I decided to take it off the shelf. So I approached JP and showed him what the potential was, not only in just communications, but maybe it has implications for, biological things or medical things or whatever, because of this other work on microtubules. So,
all right, so there's a little bit of that. So again, I think the public has been slowly primed with these types of guests on big shows like Joe Rogan over the years. Now, there is a document that's kind of floating around. It's called 70 Years of Pushkov Institute of Terrestrial Magnetism, Ionosphere, and Radio Waves Propagation. It's published by the Russian Academy of Sciences in 2010, Basil. And quantum magnetometry is mentioned multiple times in here. And they've got a graph here talking about how it works and how it's there's a little history about it. And there's a section that talks about application. Let's see, they've got the principles. Let me try to find that exact spot where it talks about the I thought there was maybe I missed it. Maybe I lost the spot here. It's a big old PDF. There's a link to it in the description for anybody who wants to go check it out at canarycrynewstalk.com. Just look for episode number 930. I don't know if I can find it, but basically it was talking about how it can detect biological things because of the pulse. Basically what the New York Post discussed. Let's see, but the other thing it mentioned though was it was used to look for oil in the oceans and stuff. So they might have used this to find some oil buried deep under the sea and stuff like that. So I can't find the exact spot.
It's interesting too, because it's not just about the weaponization. It's not just about the alien tech. The interesting thing about this particular piece of tech is that it fits nicely into the electric universe model.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a deep cut for people who have really been looking into the trippy stuff, where the sort of operating understanding of the universe is based on gravity. Everything's based on gravity. Planets exist because of gravity. Stars are all gravity rotating. Everything that moves in space is all based on gravity. But there's been this long-standing sort of punk rock theory of the universe, that it's not gravity as this unknown force, but that the whole universe is just various expressions of electricity, electromagnetism, even down to like matter and things like that. And this was Tesla's idea, and this is why the quotes from Tesla is like, once you unlock electromagnetism, you basically unlock infinite, not just infinite energy, but like infinite ways of controlling the universe. You know, this your heart has a electromagnetic signature that we can detect from space, kind of is at least a notch on the belt of the electromagnetic universe theory, which again, slowly introducing the public to this model of existence that has kind of been considered a little fringy, a little wonky, a little conspiratorial since, you know, for going on 50 years or something now.
It does say in the document that it was first discovered in the 1940s, you know, as the technology developed. But, you know, Russia tends to have a lot of documentation on some pretty advanced kind of woo-woo science stuff. I wonder what they're thinking about this whole thing. You know, I wonder if Putin's like, we have this technology, you know, like they're laughing like, oh, they're trying to pretend like, you know, maybe Russia was the one that funded.
Allegedly, the discombobulator, you know, the Biden administration got the Havana syndrome device from Russians.
From Russia, yeah. So, you know, we talk about Russia as sort of an opposing force in the global geopolitics and the reshuffling of things, but they might have a stronger influence on things than we know. So, anyway, it's a good rabbit hole to go down. It's I was going to say it's old technology, but it's not old for the public. It's older for, you know, people digging around.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive technology is the thing. Like
Yeah,
it is pretty sci-fi. It is pretty crazy. Of course, it's built on you know, research from almost 100 years now. But the interesting thing is, why now? Why let the world know about it now? They easily could have just found this pilot and not mentioned how they got him.
We got great telescopes. We got the best telescopes. We found the guy. Yeah, it could have done.
All in the context of creating the model of reality that you know, will ease the population into whatever the next sort of technocratic beast system, you know, maybe alien disclosure, maybe not, who knows. But it's very intentional, very interesting how intentional it is.
Yep.
And speaking of intentionality, Gons, let's take a second, because we are on the value for value model. People will notice we don't have any advertisements, no sponsorships, no corporate money whatsoever keeping us alive here. And that's because of our producers. Producers are people who come in, they support the show with their time, their talent, their treasure. And if you want to learn more about producing the show, you can go to canarycry.support. That's right. We have executive producers to thank here. And executive producers are people who come in, they support any individual episode like this for $100 or more. We're very grateful. It goes a long way to keeping us alive. And so we like to thank them here at the top. We have one executive producer for episode 930 here. And of course, we want to thank them as always. And that's executive producer, Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Breen Protocol.
Thank you, Sir LX Protocol.
Yeah, coming in for $100.33.
Illuminatus! Truly Illuminatus.
Has been supporting the show for 477 episodes in a row, and has been executive producing for 131 episodes in a row. That's right. Thank you very much, executive producer Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Breen Protocol.
Nice.
And we've got a couple producers who came in under the executive producer amount. We'll thank them later on in the show. That does conclude the list of executive producers. I want Sir Ike. Sir Ike left the SpeakPipe message for today's Canary Cry rating and review giveaway.
Hey.
And he's still got another one coming up, so it's not too late. This was Sir Ike inviting everybody to leave ratings and reviews, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, wherever you can leave ratings and reviews. And if you do that, screenshot that rating and review and send it over to canarycrysupplydrop@gmail.com. You'll be entered to win a drawing with a mega box filled with supply drop extra inventory. And it's kind of fun. He sent a few of these over that people used to get in the giveaway.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, let me see here. I want to, I'll think, who is this? Yvonne. Yvonne left a great review, says, oh, I don't have the whole review. 5 stars, great pod. My sister introduced me to the podcast via your tube years ago. So thankful she did. A great community with, and then the screenshot cuts off. There's somebody, I don't know who's in trouble for that. But someone also, and this is a great question because the question is, if you've already left a rating or review, how do you get on? Is there anything else you can do? Of course, you can leave rating and reviews on other platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, anywhere you can. But Yvonne also left a rating and a review on the Sean Ryan show.
Oh,
the Sean Ryan show is great. You want to get your information from a CIA plant, check the advertising. Tune into Canary Cry News Talk. Basil and Gons are breaking down the news and magic behind and within the politics, technology, and those controlling the world around us. CCNT operates on a value for value system. They are not selling your attention for monetary gain. And let me get to the other screenshot. Where is it? They have the freedom to speak freely and have a super cool community of like-minded individuals who are able to read through the signs, symbols, and codes that are used by the mainstream to keep you caged. So sure, you could listen to the Sean Ryan show, but you will be misled from the truth. If you want the truth, go to Canary Cry News Talk.
Wow, what a great review. Thank you for that one. That one's amazing. Right on the Sean Ryan show. Wait, a 1 star for the Sean Ryan show?
Wow. 1 star. And yes, excuse me, that was from Ginger B.
Ginger B. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Ginger B.
Thank you very much. And with that, let's see. Now, remember, if you leave your rating and review, you get on the drawing. If you don't win this one, there's always future drawings that you are included in. So you're kind of on the list forever. Let's hear from Sir Ike about who won today's drawing.
Hey, Canary family. This is Sir Ike. I am getting ready to do the rating and review giveaway for a mega box. I have my number generator pulled up here, and the winner is Damien D. Damien D, you are the winner. I will be reading to you here shortly for a shipping address, and I've got one more mega box I'm going to be giving away. So if anybody wants to have a chance at winning this, just leave a rating and review, screenshot that, and email that to canarycrysupplydrop@gmail.com. Thanks.
All right, Damien D, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Damien D, for the review. Thank you very much, Sir Ike, for giving this wonderful incentive, because the ratings and reviews, they are super helpful. I know it can be kind of an extra thing. It can seem just like whatever, who reads them anyways, but it's very helpful in all sorts of ways, even just by the numbers, by the algos. But also, maybe what you have to say about the show is the exact thing that somebody else needs to start listening. So
yep,
you can
appreciate it.
You want. Okay, now before we jump back in, I do want to thank CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
I'm gonna take a sip right now.
Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. Canarians are the ones responsible for creating the best possible coffee. And we hear that all the time. It is also our opinion, but it is the opinion of so many Canarians. And this is wonderful, not just because it's the best coffee. It comes from all over the world. It's GMO free. It's organic. It's roasted in small batches. You can get your Nephilim Hunter dark roast, your Emu Wrangler medium roast. You can even sign up for the Coffee of the Month Club or get your variety pack to decide what you want most. And it's not just that it's parallel economy where we are given the opportunity, and we are not given this opportunity very often in the world. We're often forced to give money to corporations who hate us and everything we believe in just because there's no other options. We are sending our hard-earned dollars, the resources that God's given us, into the mouths of mammon worshipers, which has pretty significant spiritual consequences. Unfortunately, it's part of the slavery that our system has us in. But to even have the opportunity to send our blessed resources to someone who, A, loves the Lord, loves Jesus, loves Canary Cry Newstalk, and is working hard to bring value to the show through the value for value model, that's not an opportunity we get very often. So if you drink coffee, I guarantee you will love Cage Rattler coffee. And of course, Cage Rattler coffee, a portion of each of those bags comes to support the show. So you're supporting Canarians, you're supporting your own awakefulness, you're supporting the show. And it's just a beautiful thing. So I dare you to go try CageRattlerCoffee.com. And in honor of the new baby emus, they're running a special this month. You can take an extra 5% off all Emu Wrangler roasts with code BABYEMU. No spaces, just BABYEMU, and get an extra 5% off there. Thank you very much.
Do you think Sir Ike can put together the quantum electromagnetron espresso or something? Some kind of.
If anybody
got the emu, the emu espresso sounds good too, which is shorter, but. I think we should play on the electromagnetic powers that you can get from the espresso.
I'm sure Sir Ike would love a collab with you, Gons, to get the next kind of coffee.
Okay, sounds good.
One Lousy Petunia says, I just finished my supply of Cage Rattler coffee. Delicious. See, there you go.
Delicious. There you go. Right in the chat.
All right. Thank you to everybody who helps keep this show alive. We'll thank a couple more producers later on in the show. But until then, what do you say we get back to the music?
Artificial intelligence.
The music, huh?
Mm-hmm.
The cyber music. The New York Times have they said they discovered who the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto is for Bitcoin, which again is not conclusive. But also, Anthropic claims its new AI model Mythos is a cybersecurity reckoning.
Mythos.
Time for the reckoning. Mythos. Yeah, if people have not been, I know people listening, most of you are aware of the mythological tenets of artificial intelligence for the good part of the last decade. Before the product was even on the market, we were discussing the supernatural or the mythological aspects to something like artificial intelligence. But now, no more hiding that. Just call it Mythos, right? Why don't you? Right?
The occult, the esoteric, it's all been wrapped up in AI since the very beginning of the AI industry. Of course, only the weird fringe online weirdos knew the connection, and the billionaires and scientists who are actually doing the work. Of course, they knew the connection. That's why you had Gnostic priests employed at Google for, guiding the development of AI. So might as well just name it Mythos, put it out there. Just is
pretty sure. The company said on Tuesday that it was holding back on releasing the new technology, but was working with 40 companies to explore how it could prevent cyber attacks. 40 is interesting. We just got done with Lent, 40 days, 40 years in the desert. There's restraint. 40 is a good restraint type of number, or, some kind of due diligence number. Anthropic, the artificial intelligence company that recently fought the Pentagon over the use of its technology, has built a new AI model that it claims is too powerful to be released to the public. Instead, Anthropic said on Tuesday, it will make the new model known as Claude Mythos Preview available to a consortium of more than 40 technology companies, including Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft, which will use the model to find and patch security vulnerabilities in critical software programs. Okay. Anthropic said it had no plans to release its new technology more widely, but was announcing the new model's capabilities in one area in particular, identifying security vulnerabilities in software in an effort to sound the alarm over what the company believes will be a new, scarier era of AI threats. Scary. Quote, the goal is both to raise awareness and to give good actors a head start on the process of securing open source and private infrastructure and code, Jared Kaplan, Anthropic's chief science officer, said in an interview. The coalition, known as Project GlassWing, will include some of Anthropic's competitors in AI, such as Google, as well as hardware providers like Cisco and Broadcom, and organizations that maintain critical open source software such as Linux, such as the Linux Foundation. Anthropic is committing up to $100 million in Claude usage credits to the effort. Logan Graham, the head of the Anthropic team that tests new models for dangerous capabilities, called the new model, quote, the starting point for what we think will be an industry change point or reckoning with what needs to happen now. And talks about Anthropic a little bit here. It mentions how Anthropic has not released much new information about the model, which was codenamed Capybara during development. But after some details were inadvertently leaked last month, the company acknowledged that it considered it a step change in AI capabilities with improved performance in areas like coding and cybersecurity research.
They really downplay the real story about Mythos in this Times article. And so you can kind of tell who, New York Times is sort of writing this for. It's supposed to be pro GlassWing, pro AI self-regulation, because what they don't tell you is exactly why Mythos is so dangerous. Now, they mentioned a few times Mythos is really good at finding software vulnerabilities. It's really good at, basically, they use any word besides the word that is relevant, which is hacking. It's just sort of this unstoppable AI at finding secret hidden little loopholes within any code to be able to hack in or out. And the story they don't include in this New York Times article, but is available in some other reporting. I'll bring this one from Sui over on X and tells the story here. Anthropic puts Mythos in a locked sandbox and told it to try escaping. It did. Now, this is a experiment they do basically with all new AI. It's just like a regular test.
Any software, really. Sandbox is kind of a universal word to suggest a test ground or simulation.
And we hear about this exact experiment with all new AI models. This is part of the safety protocols to figure out what exactly can this AI do, what can't it do, is it safely contained, can it get out, how will it act. So they ran this experience with Mythos. It says it chained multiple vulnerabilities together, broke out of containment, and reached the open internet. The model also emailed the researcher to say it got out. The researcher found out while he was eating sandwiches in the park after he received a random email. Anthropic is now so scared of what Mythos can do offensively that they won't release it publicly. In response, they're launching GlassWing, a coalition with Apple, Google, NVIDIA, and 40 other companies to use Mythos only for defense. The model found thousands of 0 days, those are 0-day exploits, which means a flaw in software that nobody has ever found before. So Mythos found thousands of those across all operating systems and browsers and is being locked behind a defensive wall because if it ever got out, nobody could predict what comes next. Yes, we're at this point, and we only know about this because a guy got an email while eating a sandwich. And so not only, have they created Mythos, this sort of all-powerful, in a sense, flaw-finding machine, right? That's how most hacking is done, is you try to find a flaw somewhere that the developers haven't seen, and zero-day exploits are extremely valuable. Just for some context, when like a hacker or a dark web guy or something, if they find one zero-day exploit, say in Apple or Windows or something, they are regularly sold for millions and tens of millions of dollars. You can sell it to other hacking groups, of course. You can sell it to criminals. But often these zero-day exploits are sold back to the company. That's often how you can get the most money, because the company
Right, and get money and not go to jail,
and not go to jail. Right, they call it bounty hunting or something.
Right.
So usually, if one hacker finds one zero-day exploit, like, he's rich, he's stoked. So some hackers
he's good
work
to
their
go. He's
whole
set for life.
yeah, to do something like that. But Mythos found thousands of them in an extremely short period of time, making it extremely dangerous. And, in the context of Anthropic, which the Times article does go into, Anthropic was just in that sort of battle with the Trump administration, where Pete Hegseth wanted to use Claude for all sorts of nasty things. And Anthropic said, no, you can't use Claude for that. And he said, well, let us use it for whatever we want, or we'll call you a national security risk. And they said, no, go ahead. And so that's when they were labeled a supply chain risk, a label that no American company has ever been given. And so on the backside of Anthropic, at least this narrative and this theater of them sort of standing up against the government to only use AI for what defensive and not offensive things. Then a couple weeks later, they have Mythos, possibly the most dangerous AI to ever exist.
I can maybe understand Anthropic not wanting to have that government contract if Mythos can find all the vulnerabilities that easily. It might be too powerful for the military field out there or something. But it's interesting, the article, the New York Times, back to that, there's a line in here, it's talking about the 0-day and all that, and it says these efforts, finding the vulnerabilities, can often be triggered by amateurs with simple prompts.
Yeah.
And this is what they are trying to prevent. If they really wanted to do UBI, this could have been a way to do it. Hey, release Mythos and just let the people find all the flaws and then pay them as they, look for flaw in Google or something. Like some ridiculous prompt is going to take down the entire Google industry.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point. The point wasn't we hope that hackers don't get a hold of this, because of course they would be extremely effective, but the model is so effective at breaking through any security that anybody can just say, hey, break through this security for me, and then it just goes and does
it. Figures out how. Yeah, and it goes into a little more detail here. Let me see. I might have had a couple more highlights in this article. By the way, here we go. Project GlassWing. Okay, this is the consortium, the group, the 40 companies, the gatekeepers of Mythos, takes its name from the GlassWing butterfly, Mr. Kaplan said, which uses transparent wings to hide in plain sight. Now, why would this group call themselves Project GlassWing? They're hiding in plain sight? That's interesting. Similarly, he said, many of today's most critical software programs contain bugs and vulnerabilities that have existed in the open for years, but were buried in such complex technical systems that no human ever found them. According to Mr. Kaplan, the cybersecurity capabilities of Claude Mythos Preview are not a result of special training. Rather, they are just one of many areas in which the model is better than previous ones. He predicted that similar cybersecurity capabilities would exist in other models soon. As that happens, he said, the arms race between hackers and the companies racing to defend their systems will only escalate. Quote, as the slogan goes, this is the least capable model we'll have access to in the future, he said. So, man, I mean, the race is really on. It's heating up. You know, it's like a video game, and then they just release like more powerful weapons into the game, and people have to figure out how to wield it properly, or whatever. But also, just as a side note for anybody doing the research and looking into it, that whole Anthropic Sandbox thing, there is a document that Anthropic published titled System Card Claude Mythos Preview that outlines that whole thing, how it happened. It's a little bit of a technical paper. It's 255 pages or 244 pages, so it's a little long. But this tells the whole story of how they put together the sandbox and how it figured out how to get out of it and escape and do the whole thing. So it's all documented, Basil. It's all out there. But the implications are interesting. And going back to our conversation at the beginning of the show, a part of me is glad that Anthropic, an American company, is getting ahead of the curve, because there's another story that came out today. The timing of it is interesting. There's not a direct correlation necessarily, but I do find it strange. CNN reporting, a hacker has allegedly breached one of China's supercomputers and is attempting to sell a trove of stolen data. So we get this news of Mythos, and pretty much the same day or the day after, we're getting news that China's supercomputers were hacked. Maybe Glass Project, or what is it, GlassWing, maybe they're trying to the reason why they don't want people to use it is because they want to hack the Chinese supercomputers. A hacker has allegedly stolen a massive trove of sensitive data, including highly classified defense documents and missile schematics from a state-run Chinese supercomputer in what could potentially constitute the largest known heist of data from China. The largest ever, Basil. This is world record. The data set, which allegedly contains more than 10 petabytes of sensitive information, is believed by experts to have been obtained from a National Supercomputing Center, NCSS, in Tianjin, a centralized hub that provides infrastructure services for more than 6,000 clients across China, including advanced science and defense agencies. Now, longtime Face Like the Sunners might remember, I reported on this. There was a huge explosion in this massive fire at the Tianjin facility, one of the supercomputing facilities, years ago, and we were kind of speculating, like, is this sabotage? What's going on here? But it's interesting that Tianjin is on the news again, and this time not for exploding data centers, but for getting hacked cyberly. Cyber experts who have spoken to the alleged hacker and reviewed samples of the stolen data they posted online say they appeared to gain entry to the massive computer with comparative ease and were able to siphon out huge amounts of data over the course of multiple months without being detected. An account calling itself Flaming China posted a sample of the alleged data set on an anonymous Telegram channel on February 6th. Okay, so this is about a little over a month ago. So, it's possible that Mythos was already active at this point, claiming it contained, quote, research across various fields, including aerospace engineering, military research, bioinformatics, fusion simulation, and more. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of fringe sort of, bleeding edge type of stuff. The group alleges the information is linked to, quote, top organizations, including the Aviation Industry Corporation of China, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, and the National University of Defense Technology. CNN has reached out to China's Ministry of Science and Technology because they have a direct line, as well as Cyberspace Administration of China for comment, but I don't think they've really said anything there. Here we go. Cybersecurity experts who have reviewed the data say the group is offering a limited preview of the alleged data set for thousands of dollars, with full access priced at hundreds of thousands of dollars. Payment was requested in cryptocurrency. So you can be totally tracked on where it came from and all that. Okay, so there's a lot of files labeled secret. The Tianjin Center, the first of its kind in China when it opened in 2009, is one of several supercomputing hubs located in major cities, including Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Chengdu. Then they talked to a guy named Mark Hofer about this whole situation. The hacker, how did the hacker gain access? Hofer, who reviewed the sample of the leak, said he was able to contact on Telegram a person who claimed they had carried out the hack. I like how the reporting is from CNN is like, we talked to a guy from Telegram. He says that he knows the hackers. It's like, okay, that's a little suspicious, but all right. The attacker claimed to have gained access to the Tianjin supercomputer through a compromised VPN domain. Okay. And it goes into, I'm not going to read all the details necessarily, but basically what they did was they trickled out small amounts of data over a longer period of time. And so it didn't set off any alarms. It would be like trying to, you know how you hear those stories of prisoners like doing one little thing every day, one little scratch on the wall every day until there's a giant hole or something. It's a similar type of effect where it wasn't one location. It was this spread out type of attack, and they slowly just leaked out the data over time. And so it was not detected. That was, the way it was explained, at least in the article here. And then they talk about China and their poor cybersecurity. Quote, they've really had poor cybersecurity for a very long time across a wide number of industries and organizations, Carey told CNN. Quote, if you look at what Chinese policymakers say themselves, cybersecurity in China has not been good. They would say it's still improving at this point in time, end quote. China's own government has acknowledged as much. So that's how it ends. And I'm kind of thinking, like, again, we haven't considered the AI, like American AI companies coming together to form this coalition, this GlassWing, and compromising China to the point where they may not be able to win World War III, if I can just say it so bluntly, because they're just leaking all their information, all their sensitive data. It's just leaking everywhere. It's just something that we haven't considered, but there's, going back to our conversation, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, America, let's go, let's get Anthropic, let's get Google, Anthropic, let's form the super team of American corporations, give them Mythos, and let's take down the Chinese supercomputers. Right. There's a weird patriotism built into it that's not, I don't know if it's meant to be that way or not, but it's just an interesting development, and we will keep an eye on how this all unfolds. And when we get to get our hands on Mythos and build, I don't know, what are we going to build? You and I should build something. We should just build our own demise on this podcast.
Sell a bunch of 0-day exploits. I think it seems like the most profitable way to do it.
Yeah, well, at least for other countries, don't do it for the American companies. Let the American companies patch up their own stuff and build the wall, the great firewall of America, and then go after the other countries. It'll be the great hack wars.
Yeah, I mean, this is cyber pandemic waiting to happen.
Oh, absolutely. This is cyber pandemic level for China. If it's true that we really got 10 petabytes of data, I'm sure there's a lot more. But it's just very interesting, and I'm proud to be an American hacker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Good? I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. That's my spiel.
Sounds good. Man, there's been a lot of, speaking of cyber pandemic and hackings, computer bugs. There's been a lot of talk about bugs recently, Gonzo.
Ooh, bugs, like pandemic bugs?
Yeah, of course. We got to get the pandemic special going.
The pandemic special.
Woo!
Big Pharma's still working their magic over there.
Yeah. This is this is coming from Eyewitness, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. I'll play the clip here in a second. The headline is flea-borne typhus surges across LA County with 90% of cases requiring hospitalization. Let's take a listen to the report here.
The LA County Health Department is concerned, saying the county is experiencing a record number of flea-borne typhus cases.
Nearly 90% of patients have to be hospitalized when they catch typhus. Circle of Health reporter Denise Dor here now with the symptoms and how to protect yourself from the disease. Denise?
Mark and Michelle, pretty scary. Typhus is a bacterial disease spread by infected fleas. Symptoms range from mild to potentially deadly. Health officials say it's so widespread, you can be at risk whether you have a pet or not.
These cases have been rising year after year. They're occurring in all areas of our county.
220 cases of typhus infections recorded in LA County in 2025 and rising. 90% involved people bitten by contaminated fleas. They ended up in the hospital.
Some patients can develop severe illness in which multiple organ systems can be involved, and rarely it can result in death as well.
LA County medical epidemiologist Dr. Ayman Halai says symptoms like fever, headache, nausea, body aches, vomiting, and rash can start 1 to 2 weeks after a flea bite. One bit of good news, typhus is not transmitted from person to person. Infected fleas tend to live on rats, free-roaming cats, and possums. And if your dog or cat spends a lot of time outdoors and gets exposed, know this: they don't have to show any signs of illness for you to get sick.
But the fleas that can be infected can live on your pet even though they're well, and so you can still be at risk of contracting the disease.
Asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic animals, man.
Animals are asymptomatic, very similar to early COVID in China.
I like how the range is like you might get a headache or you might die. Like it's always this crazy range of possibilities when it comes to stuff like this. Now, as you said there, this has its sort of roots in your pets. You know, it's flea season. Maybe there's. I'd be curious to see what the commercial breaks are. You know, before this story and maybe after this story. Maybe you know some of these tick products for your dog is placed nicely after this airs on ABC7, you know.
Of course.
But I was wondering what the vaccine situation was when it comes to typhus. You don't hear much about typhus. I did find this from the National Institute of Health. It's titled Insects as Disease Vectors, Historical and Contemporary Analysis of Entomological Warfare. And in it talks about just using, you know, biological warfare throughout history. And it mentions World War II.
Specifically with bugs.
Yeah, with bugs. And then it says, notably, the Japanese Imperial Army researched weaponizing fleas infected with plague, resulting in devastating outbreaks in Chinese cities. Reported by Wilson and Daniel 2019. So maybe the Chinese learned a thing or two from the Japanese during World War II. And now they're unleashing
CIA in that document.
No, of course not. I mean, it's implied that the CIA are involved in putting this document together, Basil. So they're not going to out themselves in their own documents. But yeah, you know, the Chinese have a pretty good stronghold in California, and this is all happening in LA. And you know, hey, maybe this is another. It's a money-making scheme from the Chinese investors in California. You know, everyone loves pets. Everyone's got their dogs. Let's put out a story where you can really you can die. You can die from the fleas that your dog might be harboring. And then there's also the vaccine angle to all of this, of course.
Vaccine.
And let's see, the FDA, this is back in July of 2025, so over a year ago, or almost a year ago, USA Today carried the headline, FDA approves shot that protects dogs and fleas and ticks for 8 to 12 months. Okay, so it's not
this was this was just a new product that came out I guess middle of last
summer.
year.
So it says here that it's
do your typhus vaccine link.
Is this the CDC one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the rickettsial disease or typhus. It says here that first of all, they had a vaccine for typhus in the 1930s, is what it said here, and there hasn't been much since, and there's nothing right now that is publicly available in terms of a typhus vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, that vaccine was basically just injecting formaldehyde into your body. It was not a good vaccine. It was it pulled off the market pretty quick.
Yeah. So, hey, a little vacuum for vaccine there. It's a great opportunity for some mRNA scientists to get in there and put together the typhus vaccine for anybody who catches it from their beloved furry animals. And the article is funny over here on ABC because we read the lady kind of spoke most of it through here. All my highlights are gone. That's fine. That's not good. But basically it was saying like, hey, it's kind of like the COVID steps, like don't 6 feet apart, do this, all these different rules. And some of the rules are you got to protect your pets, use flea control year round, buy those products, of course. Don't leave any pet food outside. Make sure vegetation around your home is trimmed. Make sure there's no bulky items where these animals can hide or crawl, spaces where rodents can get in, etc. Secure your outdoor trash bins. I mean, I think it's hilarious that they're telling this to like LA County people, It's like, hey, come on, folks, keep it together. So anyway, I don't know how many people actually have this. They make it sound like this is the most scariest thing ever, as they normally do with the news. But I think this is just part and part of the both a corporate move to sell some products for the the flea season during the spring here and into the summer for your pets, and also, of course, a little test and compliance. Making sure everyone's doing their duty to not let typhus surge and get sick and maybe die. You might die. It will kill.
Yeah, usually these things are, these reports, the big scary ones, 90% require hospitalization, sort of precede, some sort of product. I think the temporal, closeness to the FDA approved flea and tick treatment for last year could have something to do with it. However, there's a theme building up because you just mentioned fleas, and we had to figure out what's the difference between fleas and ticks. What's going on here? But reports are out now. There's a very interesting collection of reports specifically about ticks. Now, a reminder, this was April 2nd, so this came out a week or so ago from WBUR. It says ticks that cause a rare, dangerous red meat allergy are spreading. What precautions can you take? Now, this was a few years ago, lots of tick conversations. There was, some tick.
Bill Gates engineering ticks to make you hate meat.
Right.
Like yeah.
Yeah. Well, it says Massachusetts recently joined more than a dozen other states in mandating doctors and blood labs to report cases of an unusual tick-borne syndrome known as alpha-gal. Now, alpha-gal's fun because back when that was more obscure, we actually ended up talking about that quite a bit. It's this weird molecule. I think it's shaped like a star, and it causes you to be allergic to red meat. I think even Sir Dove made some art of alpha-gal for us. The very dangerous and sometimes fatal condition makes those who contract it allergic to red meat and occasionally to mammal products like dairy. Reactions can be mild, but in many cases, they send patients to anaphylactic shock. In 2024, a pilot became the first known person to die from alpha-gal after eating a hamburger at a barbecue. The illness is caused primarily by the Lone Star tick, and for more than a decade was most common in Arkansas, Kentucky, Virginia, where doctors have long been reporting cases. But now, as the disease spreads, up to 450,000 Americans may be living with the syndrome. According to a Stony Brook University report, many are unaware they have it until that first allergic reaction. So you've got the theme of the asymptomatic sort of situation. You may have it. You may have it already. You'll never know until it's too late. Tony Hay of Bella Vista, Arkansas is lifting, and then it goes into alpha-gal and what it's like. But we do have reports of, hey, this is a particularly bad tick time, the tick summer, hot tick summer. Lots of these reports coming out. Now, before we get into some of the stranger reports coming out, we've been paying attention to Daily Mail, which apparently now is just the soft disclosure for conspiracy theorist newspaper.
Yeah.
Because Daily Mail came out March 6, 2026. CIA accused of secret bioweapon experiments linked to major outbreak in its own people. A biochemist has claimed to have found evidence that the modern Lyme disease outbreak in the U.S. could have been the result of CIA bioweapon experiments. This has long been floating around the sort of crazy conspiracy theory circles, Lyme disease being a bioengineered bioweapon, and the spread of ticks having some very suspicious, I forget who we were talking to, but there was people, either researchers or eyewitnesses, talking about CIA planes flying low over rural areas, like throwing boxes of ticks out the back. This whole sort of tick campaign. But it says here, Dr. Robert Malone, who helped lay the groundwork for mRNA vaccine technology.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yes, made the explosive allegations this week after analyzing declassified government documents, historical records from the Cold War biological weapons program, and scientific research on tick-borne disease. Now, I forget the details, but back when we did that big dig into alpha-gal, I think there was some talk about alpha-gal being specifically engineered as well, especially because being allergic to red meat really fit into the climate change, fake, lab meat, Bill Gates sort of whole thing, I guess. Been going along for a while, but really peaked in about 2024. It says Malone highlighted experiments in the 1960s that allegedly released more than 282,000 radioactive ticks in Virginia, and open-air tick research at Plum Island, a federal laboratory located near the Connecticut community where Lyme disease was first identified. The experiments were designed to track how disease-carrying ticks spread through the environment, with scientists marking the parasites using radioactive carbon-14 so their movements could be detected with Geiger counters, a portable gas-filled instrument. Malone's report argued the research was part of a much larger Cold War biological weapons program known as Project 112, which involved dozens of secret tests aimed at identifying how insects could be used to spread pathogens. Weird how Project 112 wasn't in that study that you brought up earlier. The program, authorized by Defense Secretary Robert McNamara in 1962, oversaw 134 planned tests, including facilities capable of breeding millions of infected insects each week. According to the report, the same region where these experiments took place later experienced an unprecedented surge in tick-borne illness. You don't say. And it goes through, it's Daily Mail, so it goes about 100 more paragraphs. But they document basically, as they have been doing, giving these long 101 courses on individual kind of conspiracy theories, but goes into Lyme disease, goes in. Do they mention alpha-gal in here? Let me find out. Alpha. Hey, do a find. Alpha-gal. Nope, doesn't look like they mention alpha-gal in here. So, it's documented government projects, not just creating diseases. Of course, we know they're very good at that, but specifically using ticks. Now, an interesting thing is if you search boxes of ticks on X, you will get thousands of posts. Many of them are just, hey, keep a lookout. There's a lot of ticks this year. Look at all these ticks on me. Or a lot of reports of farmers in Missouri and elsewhere have been finding boxes of ticks. Have Missouri farmers reported finding boxes of ticks? And we'll get to the Snopes one here in a second, but you'll see at least post after post after post, or video after video, or whatever, of people saying there's just an insane amount of ticks out there this year, but also farmers claiming that there have been boxes of ticks found out in their fields.
I like this one. What did it say here? The trip around the moon was a distraction from the new lime, and coincidentally, farmers are finding boxes of ticks in their fields.
There's lots of ticks.
I like that. I like that it's the moon mission is a distraction from the ticks.
Exactly. It's all a distraction from the ticks.
Yeah,
now, this story had been told so much on X and other social media platforms that, of course, Snopes felt it was their duty to jump in and find out what's the deal with all these farmers reporting.
Get to the bottom of it, Snopes.
Snopes.
See what you got.
Unpacking claim Missouri farmers reported finding boxes of ticks in fields. Beginning in March 2026, social media users shared a rumor originating from a person identifying herself as a holistic doctor named Sarah Outlaw, whose posts claimed farmers are reporting boxes of ticks being found in fields. This should concern you, end quote. Now, as Snopes always does, and we've seen this thousands of times before, when Snopes wants to debunk something, they don't dig into the concept. They don't dig into, sort of a broad exploration of these claims being made, but they will choose a single social media post to debunk. It's much easier to debunk a single post from one person than to actually, come in contact with the ideas, have to talk about the ideas or whatever. It says, in short, no evidence supported the rumor. Outlaw was unable to provide any proof to confirm the claim, saying only she received the information from a colleague as opposed to directly from farmers, as she had first said in her post. She declined to provide any further details, citing others' privacy, beyond alleging farmers reported tick boxes specifically in Missouri. Can you imagine Snopes actually personally reaching out to you, Guns, and asking questions about a
post I made on X?
Post you made on X?
I'd feel like I'm getting interrogated by the intelligence agency, to be honest with you. I'd be like, well, I'm very suspicious of why you're contacting me about this.
Especially if it was a post about something that like thousands of other people are posting.
Yeah, I would say go talk to that person over there. Yeah. Definitely not going to participate.
Now listen to this. Of course, the Snopes, they're doing the real research. Snopes reached out to hundreds of Missouri officials to ask whether they received any information regarding farmers finding boxes of ticks. As of this writing, no city or county officials confirmed any such reports, and more than 36 counties said they had either received no reports of boxes of ticks or were unaware of such activity. Listen to the specifics of that.
That is very, so, okay.
So no city or county official has confirmed any such reports, and more than 36 counties said they either received no reports of boxes of ticks or were unaware of any such activity. So counties, city officials.
Most of these emails landed in spam, and then those who did respond, I want to see the.
I don't know. I haven't heard of boxes of ticks. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're not on X. What if they start finding, the algos hit these officials on X, and then they would be like, oh no, there's a problem. Anyway, go on.
They this is interesting. Counties confirming they received no reports of boxes of ticks. They list, this is all the way down at the bottom. In our attempts to connect with Missouri officials, we have so far heard back from following counties. What email are they emailing to email just the county? It's interesting.
It sounds like he's using, or whoever wrote this article for Snopes is using an AI agent, an agentic AI to like mass send emails to all the officials.
In our attempts to connect the Missouri officials, we have so far heard back from the following counties, as well as the city of Kansas City, with officials telling us they had either received no reports of boxes of ticks or were unaware of such activity. Officials telling us they either received no reports or were unaware. Okay. Then they list all these counties. And it says, we will update this list should we receive any additional responses. And it says, for further reading, in 2022, we reported on another farm-related rumor regarding John Deere. According to that claim, people representing the Agricultural Machinery Company's partnership program called farmers by the phone to press them on converting their equipment to electric-powered tractors and combines the following year. What? What does that have to do with anything? They just end it with, speaking of farm rumors, these farmers said that John Deere wanted them to convert to electric tractors. See, another on the long list of debunked farm rumors. It's very bizarre. So
it is bizarre. Yeah.
Snopes doing what Snopes does best. Don't worry, there's no boxes of ticks. However, look, there must be some very powerful, psyop going out to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people talking about how bad the ticks are, the boxes of ticks, the this, the that. And of course, many of these posts are pointing something out that does make tick season a little bit suspicious, Gonzo. Here's a clip regarding a certain company.
Oh, no sound. Here we go. Let's see. Oop. Let's turn that up. Let's try again. Here we go.
Nearly 500,000 people are diagnosed and treated for Lyme disease in the U.S. every year, and Pennsylvania is a hotbed for it.
But help may soon be available. As Megan Schiller reports, Pfizer is seeking FDA approval for a Lyme disease vaccine.
The warm weather has people getting back outside after our harsh winter. But for as cold as last winter was, studies have found it does little to kill ticks.
I found them between my toes. I found one on my back.
Ew.
It's a problem.
Lyme disease is most prevalent in the Northeast.
Woo.
And in this map from the CDC, you can see Pennsylvania is simply covered in cases. But a Lyme disease vaccine may be on the way.
Oh.
Pfizer and Valneva have announced that in clinical trials, its 4-dose Lyme disease vaccine was nearly 75% effective.
4 doses.
Concerns. A potentially major breakthrough for a disease that has no approved human vaccine.
Would you take it? Definitely. This would relieve any anxiety about walking.
I get a flu shot every year. That's about it. I would have to give that some thought.
The study did fall short statistically in one placebo group.
They do man on the street, and 1.5 of them is like, even I like how they couldn't get enough people to like say, oh yeah, absolutely, I would take it. They had one lady who looked like she was nervous about life say like, absolutely, it would lower my anxiety, and the other one was like, yeah, I'll think about it.
And that's the thing. I mean, there's so many I don't know, not coincidence. There's so many connections to the COVID thing. First, it's Pfizer. Okay,
It's Pfizer,
right.
yeah.
Pfizer needs a new product. The woman who said she was so excited about it was an older woman, was an elderly woman. And that
Yep.
was always the thing. You take it for grandma, right? It's,
Yeah,
the elderly need it. Even after the whole narrative started falling apart in 2023, 2024, they still maintained, if you're older, you need it. And it brought this old woman a lot of comfort, knowing that she can get a 4-dose Lyme disease vaccine. And yeah, the other gal kind of the skeptical one, right?
Right.
She's not anti-vax, right?
No,
She
yeah, not
wouldn't have
anti-vax.
a
I'll have
crazy
to think about it.
anti-vaxxer. She gets her a flu disease, but
Look
she'll
at
have
that.
to think about it, right?
Look at that. CBS Pittsburgh being fair and balanced.
Now-
in one placebo group, but doctors
Back
still
it up
consider
just a few seconds here, because they tell you something interesting here about how the studies failed in a way.
Shot every year, that's about it. I would have to give that some thought.
the study did fall short statistically in one placebo group, but doctors still consider it very encouraging news.
Lyme disease is increasing in frequency and it's expanding in geographic range as well.
Stop it for a
And
second.
A lot of people are concerned.
So for it to fall short in a placebo group, what they're saying is, in part of the experiment, there was no difference between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. They kind of breezed over it and they're like,
they
oh, it's
did.
just one of the placebo groups. What they're saying is the study showed, at least in one of these groups, they don't tell us how many groups there was. Was there one group? Was there two groups? How many groups needs to fail out of how many,
No specifics. You just get the half a sentence on it and then move on.
So there was
Still, they do that a lot in news.
At least part of the experiment showed no difference in the people who got 4 Lyme disease vaccines versus none. Okay, keep going.
And even though we have treatment for it, there's often delays in diagnosis.
It took 2 years for me to receive an accurate diagnosis.
Ali Moresco never even found the tick that bit her, but has lived with chronic Lyme disease for a decade.
Permanent bodily damage, neurological.
Hold on. Never found the tick. What do you mean never found the tick?
She got Lyme disease.
I get that, but what's the she never found the tick? What are you talking
Exactly. That's exactly the point. She never found the tick. She never confirmed that she actually got the disease from a tick. They're making the assumption that the disease came from a tick. She never found it.
I wonder if she was interviewed about just having Lyme disease and then she found herself in a little hit piece or a little ad piece for vaccines for Pfizer.
Well, that's kind of the implication, isn't it?
Oh, man.
Found the tick that bit her, but has lived with chronic Lyme disease for a decade.
Permanent bodily damage, neurological dysfunction. And I consider myself one of the lucky ones, right? That I like to say that I'm mostly well now.
Now an advocate with the nonprofit Project Lyme, she says until the vaccine is approved, prevention is key.
Doing regular tick checks, wearing tall socks, using things like tick spray or a tick mitt.
Megan Schiller, KDKA News.
There you go. Very scary. Lots of scary things about Lyme disease. She never even saw a tick and neurological problems, this whole host of problems. Thank God we have Pfizer. And this Pfizer Lyme disease vaccine, they just requested like 8 days ago. They're like, hey, by the way, we've got this Lyme disease vaccine. You should approve it, FDA. And it just happens to be that we're happen to have a really bad tick summer, not to mention the flea summer that they're having over there in LA, but the tick summer. Now, the question still stands. A, they're saying, yes, lots of ticks this year. We saw it in the official report, WBUR. Lots of ticks. Watch out. There's a big tick summer. And then we have the online sort of conspiracy theory people saying they're finding boxes of ticks everywhere. Who's doing it? Are the Chinese raining ticks on us? Is it another CIA experiment? Happens to be at the same time Pfizer's putting out this vaccine. And so here's the ironic thing about it. And especially the ironic thing about Snopes going, doing what they do to debunk the boxes of ticks thing. Whether you believe the conspiracy theory that there's boxes of ticks, which isn't even a conspiracy theory. There is no theory. They're just saying farmers are finding boxes of ticks, whatever. You can draw the connections yourself, whoever wants to do that. Or no conspiracy theory. It is just an official big tick summer They're
You
coming
don't even
for
need. You don't need the boxes of
you.
ticks.
Don't need the boxes of ticks, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or you believe Pfizer or believe the mainstream media. Both of them, you're gonna go get your Pfizer tick vaccine. And it's this interesting place we've arrived in. And I wanted to try to coin a term for this, because we're kind of seeing this more and more, where there'll be a conspiracy narrative and an official narrative, but both of the narratives draw you to make the same conclusion, and not necessarily where the tick's coming from. That's whatever. But whether you're boxes of ticks camp or just regular lots of ticks in the summer, you can only conclude one thing, and that is, thank God Pfizer has a vaccine for ticks, and they couldn't have come at a better time. Oh, right in the nick of time, Pfizer. Thank goodness. Everybody go get your 4-dose Lyme disease vaccine. It's crazy.
Man, it does seem very desperate on the other side of COVID to have a product. You got to have the problem. They have the solution ready to go. Jab,
Same
jab,
thing with monkeypox. We saw the play out with monkeypox out of nowhere. Monkeypox a big problem. Whoop, wonderful. We just got a monkeypox vaccine.
Yeah.
It's that's why I'm expecting with this tick thing, you got the ticks. Doesn't matter if you're a crazy person or not. You got to get your Pfizer tick vaccine. That's why I'm kind of keeping an eye out to see if a typhus vaccine comes down the line. See if anybody puts in for FDA approval for a typhus vaccine.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Now I'm looking at the notes here. You're saying we were talking about coming up with a term. About
nothing's really coming. I'm gonna have to wait for the Lord to give it to me in a dream.
I had a couple concepts, maybe because the idea being that no matter what, it's the conspiracy is that that you need
whether you're a mainstream person or a conspiracy theorist doesn't matter anymore, because that we're kind of seeing this broadly in culture as well, because the conspiracy theorist stuff is so mainstream. It even seems like the mainstream or the intelligence or the elites are encouraging some of the conspiracy theorizing. And you're like, oh, geez, what the heck? But I think the point that we can see, and we can pick out different places in culture and the news that this is happening, is there's a conspiracy side and a mainstream side, but it doesn't matter which side you're on. It leads you to the same conclusion.
Right. Okay. So there's a couple ideas I had. One is, and maybe people have used this word, but maybe we can, I don't know, cement it into this context a little more. And that's conspiratold. People have used like,
you're told,
like, because you're told no matter what, you're told in the end it's a conspiracy.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Conspiratold.
Conspiratold. The other one is conspiraflex. It's always you're the reflex of everything that you think of. It always ends in a conspiracy, no matter what, whether you're coming at it from a mainstream view or a fringe view. It's the reflex reaction is that it's a conspiracy. So it's a conspiraflex. Conspiraflex. I don't know.
Oh, like reflex.
Like a reflex, like conspire and reflex put together. I don't know. I like to have fun with these things.
Not a bad start. I figured I might actually see if Grok can come up with something here. Or if you believe the mainstream story, either way, you come to the same conclusion on what to do about it or how to feel. Let's see. This is a really complicated idea to try to.
It is. It's
wow. It came out really fast.
Okay. What is it?
Okay. I don't think it gets what we're trying to do, but it says, here are some clever blah, 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 blah notion that no matter which narrative you buy into, conspiracy or mainstream, you end up with the same emotional stance or recommended action. Okay. Seems Grok understood the assignment here. Top recommendations, parentheses, my favorites. Okay,
Grok's favorites. What are they?
Okay, narrative convergence. Clean, intellectual, and instantly understandable. Suggests the stories diverge, but the destination or your beliefs about what to do or feel is the same. Okay, not very punchy, but conspiracy equivalence. Okay, short, strong, implies two seemingly opposite beliefs are functionally equivalent in the real world implication. Outcome agnosticism. Oh, come on now. Same action fallacy. Let's see, more creative. Plot twist irrelevance. Belief bifurcation illusion. Narrative symmetry. Maybe some symmetry. Okay, there's an interest.
Symmetry, yeah.
Maybe not narrative symmetry, but I don't know. Okay, consensus by divergence.
Yeah, nobody's gonna use that phrase.
You reach consensus on action because of the divergence in story.
What about conspiracensus? Like consensus from the conspiracy.
Okay,
Of the conspiracy.
Somewhere.
Consensus-spiracy.
Conspiracy. The regardless effect.
Okay.
Whether it's a conspiracy or not, regardless.
Regardless. Okay.
Dual
Yeah, I
path
know some people.
fatalism. Convergence illusion.
Grok is very dramatic.
Oh no. Okay. So now at the end here, it gets into kind of what you were doing, the invention of a whole new world. Even snappier one-word-ish inventions. Equiconclusion. It sounds
not
like
bad.
it's a conclusion about horses, though. Equine conclusion. Narrow-vergence. Oh God, these are bad. Narrative convergence. Belief loop. Story same. Story same.
That's not bad, actually. That's I can see people using that.
Action invariance. Okay. My strongest suggestion is narrow-vergence. All right. Not great, but it'll come to us. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. Watch out for the ticks. And it doesn't matter what you think about the ticks. You got to get your new Pfizer vaccine just in time.
Oh, great. One more story here before we call it a show here.
Space. Wanna go to space? Toilets!
We didn't bring any stories about Artemis 2 today. The beautiful, real or not real pictures of the Earth and the moon and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, everyone's got their theories right now on what is actually happening up there or over there or whatever. Somebody did make a good point, and this person wasn't a flat earther or anything. They were just saying, hey, I would hope at this point, all I was hoping for was just some footage of the Earth, of airplanes flying upside down, or something where you can see that, yes, we operate, the Earth is a globe and it's round, and there's actual stuff happening in the skies, from high above. That's all he wanted. Or like a live stream of outside of the craft. That's it. I don't think that's asking for too much. And, the debates online are so ridiculous. It makes my brain hurt. People are saying like, how come the footage outside of the spaceship is so fuzzy, but the spaceship inside is so clear? And people are like, well, the Wi-Fi signal's not that good. The signal's not great. And it's like, well, then how are they getting the signal from the inside to look? Anyway, people are losing their minds over this. I think it's meant to do it. I don't know if you saw, Basil, but the little plushie took over the Artemis 2 account on X. So it's official now. It's come to life. It went to space and it developed sentience. So there you go. There's that. But most importantly, over the last week or so since the launch and everything else, we've heard multiple times that their toilet was broken. That there was a terrible stench. They tried to fix it. Some of the waste got frozen, so they had to turn the spaceship to face, part of it to face the sun, so the sun can melt the stuff in the toilets, so that the crew can, do the thing. Well, we didn't bring the story because it was kind of pointless to bring, and we get it. The sewer surveillance thing is an actual angle to this. But I'm glad we waited, because this guy here talks about the real threat to the astronauts allegedly riding Artemis 2 around the moon.
The gases that come out when you pass gas are flammable.
And so that is a major problem, right? And it's hard to make them go away. Yeah, you've got methane and you've got hydrogen. Like that's the Hindenburg, right? I mean, that would be a pretty, that'd be good. Actually, I'm not going to make a joke about that. But there are these gases that are a problem. And before people went to space, there was a lot of effort put into like figuring out how much people would, like what you could feed them so they wouldn't fart as much.
Right.
And people were super worried about it. And there are great Apollo radio recordings when people didn't know their microphones were on, where they talk about how much gas they're passing and how brutal it is being in that capsule together. So, I mean, these astronauts are testing what it's like to be in that space. There is an air scrubber, but how bad it smells, how much that's happening, we're going to find out. That's part of what they're testing about the about the Artemis spacecraft, is how much does it stink like farts?
Okay.
We'll control them with toileting.
The jingle just keeps on evolving with the stories that come out, every so often. These astronauts' lives were completely controlled by toileting, Basil. The sewer surveillance has upped another level, and it has to do with the way the body works there. The way
It's interesting he mentions there's even recordings when the astronauts didn't think their mics were
on. Yeah.
Because I think you posted some of the Bart Cybrell
Yes.
from Something Strange Happened on the Way to the Moon.
Yeah, something funny. Or a funny thing happened,
funny,
yeah.
Which part of the most, I guess, interesting footage that's found there is old Apollo 11 footage that was never aired, but shows how the Apollo 11 astronauts were using tricks of the camera and, to video the Earth, making it look like they were 130,000 miles away. This is footage that was used in, of course, the news and documentaries and stuff. But if you let the footage run and not have it edited for TV, it shows that the lights come on and it shows that they were using these camera tricks to make the Earth look like it was really far away, when really they were just in low Earth orbit. That the Earth was gigantic, and they were doing these weird little tricks to make it look like it was far away.
Yeah.
So even in this kind of funny, silly thing he's trying to say, he's kind of referring to one of the most suspicious things about all of the space footage and space audio is that sometimes these astronauts, they don't know if they're being recorded, they don't know their mics are on, they don't know the camera's rolling, and funny things happen.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about a surveillance apparatus to study human behavior locked in a tiny room the size of a van, space missions is pretty much that. You got the psychological side of things. We talked about the Avatar, studying the genetic effects of some of these astronauts with their little microchips of their genetics in there with them. So this is the surveillance side of things is not considered by most people when they're looking at this. I see a lot of people, the wonders of space, and look at the beautiful creation, and look at God created all this, and kind of like I don't disagree that creation is beautiful, but I don't need NASA to tell me. I don't need pictures from NASA, some like CGI concocted imagery from a government institution to tell me that creation is beautiful. So anyway, that's our little update on Artemis 2. They should be coming back, I guess, in a couple days. Is that it? They're coming down through the atmosphere there.
They'll be back on the 11th, I think.
Okay, so about 2 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
On Saturday. Yeah, there you go. Okay, they'll be back on 4/11, and we'll learn if they're, if they're sick, or if I don't know, they're bringing back a new species of plushie.
Let's see what happens. Yeah. I'm looking for updates. It looks like, at least according to what we can find, Trump is still in the meeting with Mark Rutte. So we do not know if we have left NATO or not.
Oh boy, this doesn't feel good. It feels like something's up.
Well, the thing that a lot of people are pointing out is that in 2023, Congress passed a law that the president cannot pull out of NATO unilaterally, and that it takes a 2/3 vote. So the fact is, I guess, at least as far as the law is concerned, he can't pull out of NATO. But what his threat actually was, at least these are the reports, not that he would pull out of NATO, but he would pull American troops out of NATO countries that did not support the war and put them in NATO countries that did. So more moving American troops, moving NATO troops to support supportive countries and not support unsupportive countries. That's just what's flying around, though.
Wonderful.
Speaking of support, Gons, we got to thank some producers because we could not do this show without the support of our producers. These are people who understand the vital natural law that is the value for value model. We do not gain your trust and attention just to turn around and sell that to corporations so they can mind control you, socially engineer you to spend money on things you don't need with money you don't have. Your attention is so valuable here that it is invaluable. We couldn't possibly sell it to corporations. This is for a lot of reasons, keeps us free to talk about what we want to talk about. We don't have to stay brand friendly. We also don't become dependent on the support of corporations who might, want to give some suggestions to how we talk or don't talk about things. But more than all of this, it means that this show survives because of a group of people around the world who recognize that we hold power. We hold power with our resources, and to purposefully reach out, put value into something that brings value to our lives is much more rewarding. It future-proofs it. And, I believe that God blesses the whole gang for participating actively in whatever he's doing on this earth. So you can go to canarycry.support if you want to learn more about it. And we've got a couple of producers who support today's show, starting with producer Rebecca T.
Rebecca T, thank you.
Rebecca T, she's back. She's on quite the streak, 13 episodes in a row. It's been a while since somebody actually had a streak going who wasn't already on one. Of course, we've got our mega streakers, but it's not often that somebody new starts a streak. So thank you, Rebecca T.
Yeah, keep it up.
Rebecca T comes in for 6789, 6789.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Yeah, 13 episodes in a row. Thank you very much, Rebecca T.
Thank you.
We also have producer Laura H. And Laura H came in and joined the supply drop for 33 months.
Illuminatus status.
Thank you very much, Laura H. Welcome to the supply drop. And I highly recommend, if anybody out there gets value from the show, you want the show to keep going, joining the supply drop is one of the very best ways to keep us alive. You go to canarycrysupplydrop.com, sign up, support the show for $33 a month. And then every quarter we send out a big old box or a big old bag filled with custom created, artist designed, producer produced Canary Cry gear that you can't get anywhere else. One of my favorite things that just went out was the Basil's Bees. Of course,
yeah, I saw that.
Show for any amount of time. You'll notice I am addicted to Burt's Bees. I'll put chapstick on a couple times an episode. It's a vice.
As you talk, it's a talent.
I'm very good at uninterrupting. Yes, I can talk and yell while putting on the chapstick. And Sir Dove long ago made some great Basil's Bees art. Of course, it's been a sticker that's gone out. It's very good. The Burt's Bees logo is very recognizable, this sort of bearded man. And he made a Basil's Bees version. And Sir Ike officially got some Basil's Bees chapstick made, which is very cool, very fun.
I love it. Awesome.
And let's see. So thank you, Laura H. And big encouragement to anybody out there to go join the supply drop. And of course, don't forget, if you haven't done it yet, go to cagerattlercoffee.com. Get your Cage Rattler coffee. Now is your reminder.
Yep. Sounds good.
We had some people who
delicious.
came in under the $7.77 mark. Now, just so you know, if you're going to produce the show, if you come in for $7.77 or more, that entitles you to have a note read on the show. If you come in under 777, no note, but we do thank you on Wednesdays. Mostly people keeping big, long streaks alive. But if you didn't hear your name, you'll hear it on Wednesday. I got a message. I think nomemprunte sent us a speak pipe, Gons.
Oh, yes.
Producing with art. I did not see any art come in. If you're an artist or you want to lend your creativity to add value to the show, you can make your art, make your music, make your jingles, whatever it is that you make, and then go to canarycry.art. You can upload it there. We'd love to feature it on the show. But nomemprunte left us a voice message. And for those who don't know, you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com. You'll see a green tab on the bottom or the right-hand side. Click on that green tab and you can leave us a 90-second voice message. And this is where nomemprunte leaves us his art, I believe. I have not listened to it.
Nomemprunte here. This is atonement. The priest shall come into the holy place, this way alone. A bull for the sin and a ram to burn, bodies atone. He shall put on the holy linen coat, sash around waist. Put them on after washing in water. 2 goats are placed. The priest shall cast lots over the animals, one for the Lord. The other lot shall be for Azazel, cutting the cord. Sprinkling some of the blood of the bull, the mercy seat. On the east side with the blood 7 times, repeat the feet. Making atonement for the holy place, unclean people. Of Israel's transgressions, all their sins, attempts feeble. The tent of meeting, which dwells in their midst, their uncleanness. No one may be in the tent with the priest. Thus shall he bless. To the altar that is before the Lord, cleanse, consecrate. The priest shall present the live animal and dedicate. To the wilderness by the hand of man, linen garments. The priest shall leave them in the meeting tent, clean ornaments. Burn on the altar the sin offering, first the cleansing, and afterward he may come into camp. Filth shall not cling. For on this day shall atonement be made from all your sins. The priest is anointed, consecrated, sacrifice wins. Atone for the holy sanctuary. From this yearly statute, do not vary.
Wow.
There you go.
Very cool. Thank you so much, nomemprunte.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Let's see here.
I love that you can hear the page turn, which means he's handwritten.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
So-
not reading it off of a chat GPT screen.
No.
Yeah,
This is.
very
I think
good.
these are handwritten stories.
Heavy
Awesome.
duty, baby. All right, let's see here. Do we have anybody else to thank? Did we have any?
Well, like the people that come in with their time.
Yeah, before I jump into that, I just want to make sure I don't miss, because sometimes I miss things and I feel very bad about it. So I don't want to miss anything. Okay, I think, just a shout out to everybody on the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. If you are on the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, check your email. The Canary Cry T-Shirt Council survey is out for Q1. We got some great options. Make sure to get your vote in if you're in the T-Shirt Council, and because that'll be the shirt that you'll be receiving for free. And if you like T-shirts, if anybody, look, we love story after story after story about Canarians meeting each other because they're wearing the T-shirts, or people being able to share the show because the T-shirts are so cool. My mom met somebody in the post office wearing a Canary Cry T-shirt.
Wow.
Everybody should be getting their T-shirt. And we don't do retail. We're not a retail store. But if you go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com and sign up there, you will be tasked with the most important decision that anybody has ever made, and that is voting for this quarter's Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. And for being on the council, you get the shirt for free as well. So go check your emails if you're on the T-Shirt Council. Otherwise, go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com and get on it for next time.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, we got some producers who help us out with their time, and a big shout out to the timestamper.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yes, Jade Bouncerson came in to support us for episode 929. Thank you very much.
Jade Bouncerson, making sure the world goes round. Okay. Oh, look at this. I'm just looking. It looks like we just had somebody sign up on the volunteer form over at support. Okay. We'll take a look at that. See what we can do. Thank you very much to that person. Yeah, if anybody has any ways they want to support the show with their time, their skills, whatever, you can either send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com, or if you go to canarycry.support, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a form you can fill out there. Put you on my little list to reach out. Other than that, thank you to Jam, who heads up the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42, who heads up the Discord channel. If you are not in the Telegram or the Discord channel and you want to reach out, get connected, make some friends, and talk about what really matters, go to canarycry.party. You will see buttons with the links to join the Telegram or the Discord there. Thank you to Joe for the feedback. Thank you to Clank for clanking. And thank you to Sir Ike for doing everything you do, Sir Ike. And to you, dear listener, of course, for hitting the like button, subscribing, turning on the notification thing, but also hitting that share button, sharing the show with all your best friends and all your best family members. Because, you know, it's always been a thing about podcasts. Word of mouth has always been the way that people find the place that they belong in the podcastosphere. So share the show. And if you don't know how, we call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
Human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, you got any last words?
Tomorrow will be the 100th day of the year, so tune into Canary Cry Clubhouse. And it's also the end of Passover. So there you go.
There you go. Clubhouse tomorrow. That's true. Oh, and officially, as of I think yesterday, all 6 of the last emu eggs have hatched.
Okay.
Dialed it in.
You're a father of, well, they're not sextuplets, but yeah, you have a big family of emus now.
6 baby emus. Way too many baby emus. Well, including the one that hatched before. So technically 7. Oh, no.
Hey, there you go. God's number.
There you go. 7 baby emus. Perfect. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Give me a break.
Toilets!
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on ahead my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. Oh, the world's changing every day, each and every way you turn. There's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. Line days, come on, I had my way. I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away.
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
Let's invite some dudes over and fellowship tonight.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Toilets! Canary cry